Mollusks are soft-bodied animals found primarily in marine environments, but many live in freshwater and on land. Despite their diversity, they share a common body plan consisting of a muscular foot, a visceral mass containing organs, and a mantle that covers the body. The mantle forms a cavity housing gills of aquatic species or functioning as a lung in terrestrial forms. Most mollusks possess a radula for scraping food and secretes a protective shell, although this is reduced in cephalopods. The molluscan foot is ventral and used for movement, though in cephalopods it has evolved into arms and a siphon for jet propulsion. The visceral mass houses major organ systems, while the coelom is greatly reduced, primarily surrounding the heart. In many aquatic species, fertilization occurs externally, producing a trophophore larva and sometimes a veliger stage before metamorphosis. Cephalopods, however, bypass larval stages and develop directly into miniature adults. Mollusca is one of the most metamorphically diverse animal phyla. Its members range from simple worm-like forms to highly intelligent cephalopods. This diversity reflects modifications of the basic molluscan body plan, especially the foot and the mantle. The phylum is divided into 8 classes, although their evolutionary relationships are still being studied. The more primitive groups, such as Caudiphophida and Soligastria, are shell-less and worm-like, showing reduced structures compared to more derived mollusks. Monoplacophorans possess a single cap-like shell and were once thought extinct until living species were discovered in the 20th century. Chitons, in contrast, have 8 overlapping plates and a broad foot that allows them to cling tightly to rocks. They use a radula reinforced with a magnetite, making their teeth exceptionally hard. Chitons also have unique sensory structures embedded in their shells, called estes. These early molluscan groups provide insight into the evolutionary foundation of the phylum. Bivalves are characterized by two hinged shells connected at a umbo. Their bodies are laterally flattened, and unlike most mollusks, they lack a radula. Instead, they have a filter feeder. Water enters through an incurrent siphon, passes through the gills where the food particles are trapped, and exits through the excurrent siphon. The shell itself consists of 3 layers, making the inner nacreous layer. The mantle cavity houses the gills and is central to feeding and respiration. Bivalves possess paired nephridia for excretion and a simple nervous system with 3 ganglia pairs. Some species, such as scallops, have well developed eye spots along the mantle edge. One remarkable feature is the ability of oysters and mussels to secrete nacre around foreign particles, forming pearls. Gastropods are the most diverse mollusks, including familiar snails and slugs. They occupy marine, freshwater, and terrestrial environments. Many have coiled shells, either flat, plano-spiral form or tall, conospiral shapes, though slugs lack shells entirely. Their bodies are asymmetrical, with a muscular foot adapted for crawling. Most have a defined head and tentacles and eyes, and a radula used to scrape food. A defining feature of many gastropods is torsion, a 180-degree rotation of the visceral mass during development. This brings the anus above the head and twists the nerve cord into a figure 8 pattern. Torsion allows the head to retract into the shell for protection, but it also creates a sanitation issue, as waste is positioned near respiratory structures. Aquatic gastropods use gills, while terrestrial species use the mantle as the lungs. Nephridia in the mantle cavity handles excretion. Cephalopods are the most complex and intelligent mollusks. While nautilus retain their external chambered shells used for buoyancy control, most cephalopods have reduced or internal shells, and octopuses lack one entirely. They possess a closed circulatory system and advanced nervous system with image-forming eyes. Their foot has evolved into arms and tentacles, and movement occurs by jet propulsion through the siphon. Cephalopods are famous for their rapid color changing using chromatophores and reflective cells called iridophores and leucophores. These allow camouflage and complex signaling. They are carnivores and with strong beak-like jaws and a radula. Ink release provides a defensive smokescreen or decoy. Unlike many mollusks, cephalopods develop directly from eggs without a larval stage, and in some species, female guards the eggs until they hatch. Their behavioral sophistication sets them apart within mollusca. Scaphalopods, commonly called tusk shells, are marine mollusks that live buried in sandy substrates. Their single tapered shell is open at both ends, allowing water to circulate through the mantle cavity. Unlike many mollusks, they lack gills. Instead, the mantle cavity functions as a gas exchange. They possess a radula and specialized tentacles with ciliated tips to capture small prey. Their foot is adapted for digging and anchoring within the sediment, making them efficient in fauna organisms. Annelids are segmented worms characterized by true metamerism, meaning their bodies are divided into repeated segments. This segmentation allows for greater flexibility, coordination, and efficient locomotion. The phylum includes marine polychaetes as well as terrestrial and freshwater oligochaetes like earthworms and leeches. Although they inhabit diverse environments, moisture remains essential for their survival. Their segmented design represents a major evolutionary advancement in body organization. The annelid body is divided into the head, a segmented trunk, and a terminal tail. Segments develop sequentially through taloblastic growth, meaning new segments form near the posterior end as the animal grows. In oligochaetes such as earthworms, a specialized reproductive structure called a clitellum appears as a thickened band near the anterior region. It secretes mucus for sperm exchange and produces a cocoon where fertilization occurs. This segmented strategy allows annelids to increase size while maintaining coordinated movement. Annelids possess a thin cuticle and powerful circular and longitudinal muscles that enables coordinated movement. Chitinous setae provides traction, and in polychaetes, these are mounted on the parapodia. Their digestive system is complete with specialized regions such as the crop and muscular gizzard in earthworms. Each body segment is separated by septa, forming compartmentalization coelomate chambers. Feeding strategies vary widely from filter feeding and predation to soil ingestion and blood feeding. Most annelids have a closed circulatory system with dorsal and ventral vessels connected segmentally. Hemoglobin may circulate freely in the plasma rather than inside the cells. Gas exchange occurs through the moist body surface, and parapodia can assist in respiration. Excretion is handled by metanephridia in each segment. Their nervous system includes a ventral nerve cord with segmented ganglia and a brain surrounding into the pharynx. Reproduction varies, with some species producing trochophore larvae while others develop directly within the cocoons. Annelids are traditionally divided into polychaetes and oligochaeta. Polychaetes are primarily marine and possess parapodia with many bristles used for movement or respiration. Some are free moving, others live in tubes, and some even thrive near hydrothermal vents with the help of symbiotic bacteria. Evolutionary analysis suggests that earthworms and leeches have a distinct clade with annelids, making the traditional polychaete grouping parahylitic. Oligochaetes include earthworms, which possess few bristles and a permanent clitellum for reproduction. Leeches grouped within Hiradinia lack septae and instead use suckers at both ends for attachment. Some species, such as the medicinal leech, have been used therapeutically for centuries. Their body segmentation can differ internally and externally, allowing expansion when feeding. Another group, the Brachioidella, consists of small annelids that attach to crayfish. Ecdysozoa is a major animal superphylum that includes nematodes, arthropods, and tardigrades. What unites this vast and diverse group is the presence of protective cuticle. This external covering reduces water loss and provides defense, but it does not grow continuously. Instead, ecdysozoans must molt through a process called ecdysis, shedding the old cuticle and replacing it with a new one. Nematodes or roundworms are triploblastic, bilateral symmetrical pseudocoelomates with a cylindrical body. Unlike flatworms, they have a fluid-filled pseudocoelom and a round cross-section. They are incredibly abundant and occupy virtually every habitat on Earth. Although about 28,000 species have been discovered, scientists estimate that there are over a million species. Many are free-living, while thousands are parasitic. Nematodes play vital ecological roles as decomposers, predators, and parasites. Their abundance means they are strongly influence nutrient cycling in ecosystems. One species, C. elegans, has become a cornerstone of biological research. Its transparent body, short life cycle, and fully mapped developmental cell lineage have made it invaluable in genetics and developmental biology. Studying such a simple organism has revealed fundamental insight into apoptosis, gene regulation, and nervous system development. Nematodes have a cylindrical, unsegmented body with a complete digestive tract, unlike flatworms, which have only one opening. The mouth leads to a muscular pharynx and intestines ending in a rectum and anus. Their epidermis may form a syncytium and it is covered by a tough cuticle composed of collagen and chitin. This cuticle even lines part of the digestive tract. Although some species display external rings, they do not represent true segmentation like seen in annelids. Unlike many worms, nematodes possess only longitudinal muscles. These muscles attach directly to the dorsal and ventral nerve cords, producing a distinct side to side whip like motion. The absence of circular muscle limits their movement to thrashing rather than peristaltic crawling. Although the cuticle may display rings or surface ornamentation, these features do not correspond to internal segmentation. Their unique muscle nerve arrangement defines their characteristic movement patterns. Nematodes lack complex excretory organs. Most nitrogenous waste, mainly ammonia, diffuses directly across the body wall. Some species possess simple excretory glands and paired canals, and marine nematodes have unique retinae cells. Their nervous system consists of four longitudinal nerve cords that meet anteriorly to form the pharyngeal nerve rings, which functions as the brain. In C. elegans, the nerve system is highly mapped and remarkably large relative to its body size, making it a key model organism. Nematodes display diverse reproductive strategies from separate sexes to hermaphroditism and parthenogenesis. In C. elegans, most individuals are self fertilizing hermaphrodites with some male present. Fertilization is internal and development proceeds through four larval stages with molting between each one. Under stressful conditions, a specialized dura larva can form, allowing survival. Many nematodes exhibit eutyly, which means the adults of species have a fixed number of cells, reflecting a highly regulated developmental pathway. Tardigrades are microscopic animals often called the water bear due to their rounded bodies and crawled legs. They inhabit marine, freshwater, and most terrestrial environments such as moss. Although tiny, usually under 1 millimeter, they possess a chitinous cuticle and four pair of legs equipped with claws. Their appearance may seem simple, but these animals are among the most resilient organisms known, capable of surviving extreme environments and stress. Tardigrades are famous for cryptobiosis, a state in which metabolism nearly stops. In this condition, they can survive extreme dehydration, freezing, radiation, vacuum, and intense pressure. They are capable of losing up to 99% of their body water and remaining viable for a year. Specialized proteins help stabilize cellular components and DNA during this process. The resilience challenges our understanding of biological limits and makes them important models for studying stress, tolerance, and astrobiology. Tardigrades have a cylindrical body with four pair of clawed legs. The first three pairs function in walking, while the last pair help anchor the animal to the surface. Like other ecdysozoans, they periodically molt their chitinous cuticle. Their feeding system includes a circular mouth and a muscular pharynx equipped with stylets that pierce plants or algal cells. Their contents are then sucked into the gut. Despite their small size, their structural organization is surprisingly complex. Tardigrades possess a hemocoel but lack specialized circulatory or respiratory cells. Gas exchange occurs by diffusion across the body surface. Malpighian tubules remove metabolic waste and deliver it to the gut. Their nervous system includes a dorsal brain connected to a ventral nerve cord with segmental ganglia controlling their appendages. Sensory structures are simple but effective, including eye spots and sensory bristles concentrated near the head. Most tardigrades have separate male and female individuals, each with a single gonad. Reproduction commonly occurs during molting when fertilization takes place externally. Eggs are often laid inside the shed cuticle or attached to nearby surfaces. The development is direct, meaning there is no larval stage. Like nematodes, tardigrades exhibit eutyly. Each species has a fixed number of cells. After development, Growth occurs by enlarging existing cells rather than increasing cell number. Arthropods are the most successful animals on Earth in terms of species number. Their name means jointed feet, referring to their segmented bodies and specialized appendages. They possess a chitinous-based exoskeleton that protects against water loss and predators. Because this skeleton does not grow with the body, arthropods must molt. Insects alone make up the largest class of animals on the planet. For nearly 500 million years, Earth has essentially been the age of the arthropods. Arthropods occupy nearly every environment on Earth. They are divided into five major subphyla, including insects, crustaceans, spiders, and centipedes. Trilobites, now extinct, were once among the most abundant marine organisms and helped us understand early arthropod evolution. Their fossil record shows a three-lobed body plan. Together, these groups illustrate how segmentation and jointed appendages have allowed arthropods to diversify into nearly every ecological niche on the planet. Arthropods have segmented bodies, but those segments are often fused into functional regions called tagmata. Depending on the group, they may look like head, thorax, and abdomen, or a cephalothorax and abdomen. Their jointed appendages are highly specialized for sensing, feeding, or movement. Internally, they possess a hemocoel with hemolymph circulates, driven by a dorsal tubular heart. Their nervous system is organized into segmental ganglia connected at a ventral nerve cord reflecting their segmented ancestry. The arthropod exoskeleton is layered with a waxy epicuticle on the outside and a chitin-rich procuticle beneath. Some groups, like crustaceans, strengthen it further with calcium salts. Because this exoskeleton does not grow, arthropods must molt through ecdysis, which briefly leaves them vulnerable. Respiratory systems vary widely. Insects use a tracheal tube that delivers oxygen directly to the tissues. Crustaceans use gills, and arachnids use book lungs. Chelicerates are defined by their first pair of appendages, the chelicerae. These are modified legs that function as claws or fangs. In spiders, they inject venom. Unlike insects and crustaceans, chelicerates do not have antennae. Instead, the pedipalps help with sensing and handling food. Their body is divided into two main regions, the prostoma and the epistoma, rather than the head, thorax, abdomen pattern we see in insects. Chelicerates often begin digestion outside of the body by secreting enzymes into its prey. Their open circulatory system pumps hemolymph into the hemocoel, and oxygen transport relies on hemocyanin, which contains copper instead of iron. Respiratory structures vary depending on habitats. Reproductive strategies also vary widely, from external fertilization in aquatic species to complex mating behaviors in spiders and scorpions. Myropods are terrestrial arthropods known for having many legs. Though never truly thousands, they thrive in human environments because, like many arthropods, they are vulnerable to desiccation. Fossil evidence shows that ancient relatives were massive, reaching up to 3 meters in length. Today's species are much smaller and divided into four major classes, with centipedes and millipedes being the most familiar examples. Centipedes are predators. The first pair of legs are modified into venom-delivering forcipules used to subdue prey. Millipedes, by contrast, are primarily decomposers and herbivores. Their segments are fused into diplosegments, giving them two pairs of legs per segment. The difference in legs arrangement is also a very easy way to distinguish between the two groups. Symphylans and pauropods are smaller, less familiar relatives that live hidden in soil ecosystems. Crustaceans are the dominant aquatic arthropods. The most distinctive feature is having two pairs of antennae, unlike insects or myropods. Their appendages are biramous, meaning each limb branches into two parts. Many species, the head and thorax fuse to form a cephalothorax covered by a protective carapace. Even terrestrial pillibugs are crustaceans, reminding us that evolutionary history matters more than just habitat. Crustaceans strengthen their exoskeleton with calcium carbonate, which makes lobsters and crabs especially hard. They have an open circulatory system and uses hemocyanin, a copper-based respiratory pigment, instead of iron-based hemoglobin. Development often includes distinct larval stages such as the nauplius or zoe. These stages look very different from the adult, highlighting the dramatic transformation common in arthropods' life cycle. Hexapods are defined by six pair of three-part bodies: the head, thorax, and abdomen. The thorax carries the legs and most group of wings. Mouth parts are modified appendages derived from ancestral legs. Insects dominate terrestrial ecosystems not just in number of species but in ecological impact. Their body plan is modular and highly adaptable, which explains their enormous diversity. The evolution of insect wings remains one of the biology's greatest mysteries. Wings likely began as smaller thoracic extensions and eventually allowed powerful flight, reshaping ecosystems worldwide. Insects also show two major developmental patterns: complete and incomplete metamorphosis. In eusocial species like ants and bees, colonies function like little superorganisms with specialized castes and chemical communication maintaining social order. Deuterostomes are defined by how they develop as embryos. The blastopore becomes the anus and the mouth forms second. Cleavage is radial and indeterminate, meaning early cells retain developmental flexibility. The coelom forms through enterosoli, where mesodermal pouches bud from the archaeopteron. These developmental differences are fundamental evolutionary distinctions separating deuterostomes from protostomes. Deuterostorms split into two major lineages: chordata and ambulacraria. Chordates include vertebrates and their closest invertebrate relatives. Ambulacraria includes echinoderms and hemochordates. Echinoderms possess an internal skeleton made up of ossicles. Hemichordates share pharyngeal slits with chordates, highlighting deep evolutionary connections with the deuterostomes. Echinoderms are exclusively marine and include familiar animals like sea stars and sea urchins. Although their larvae are bilateral, adults exhibit pentaradial symmetry, typically in multiples of five. Unlike arthropods, they possess a true internal skeleton made up of calcareous ossicles. Their spines, which give them their name, are extensions of their internal skeleton and are often movable for protection. The defining system of echinoderms is the water vascular system, a hydraulic network that powers movement through 2 feet. Water enters through the madrepori, circulates through the canals, and fills the ampulla that controls each 2 foot. These structures allow the animals to move, grip surfaces, sense chemicals, and manipulate food. Small pedicellariae help clean and defend the surface, while papillae assist with respiration. Echinoderms do not have a centralized brain. Instead, they possess a nerve ring around the mouth and radial nerves that extend in each arm. This decentralized system allows coordination of movement, especially of the 2 feet. Sensory structures are distributed. Echinoderms have a fascinating digestive system. In sea stars, the cardiac stomach can actually be pushed out of the mouth to digest prey externally, such as inside of a clamshell. Digestive glands called pyloric ceca extend into each arm to absorb nutrients. There is no true kidneys. Instead, specialized cells called podocytes help filter fluids and waste like ammonia diffuse out through papilla and 2 feet. Gas exchange also occurs by simple diffusion. Echinoderms reproduce mostly through external fertilization, with males and females releasing gametes into the water at the same time. Interestingly, their larvae are bilaterally symmetrical even though adults are radially symmetrical. During development, the radial adult body plan forms from a cluster of larval cells. Many echinoderms can also reproduce asexually through fragmentation. Sea stars and brittle stars can regenerate lost arms and in some cases regenerate most of their body. Echinoderms are divided into five living classes. Sea stars and brittle stars have arm-like structures. Sea urchins and sand dollars are more spherical or flattened. Crinoids look plant-like but are animals. Sea cucumbers are elongated and soft bodies. Even though they look very different, they all share key echinoderm traits such as a water vascular system and radial symmetry as adults. Sea stars are the most familiar echinoderms. Their thick arms contain extensions of major organs. 2 feet help them grip surfaces and manipulate prey. Many sea stars are predators of clams and other mollusks. They can slightly open a shell and even invert or push out their stomachs into the prey. Digestion begins outside of the body before the food is brought back inside. Brittle stars may look like sea stars at first glance, but structurally they are different. Their arms are long, slender, and sharply separated from the central disk. Unlike sea stars, they do not rely on 2 feet for movement. Instead, they move by rapidly lashing or rowing their arms, almost like coordinated snakes. These flexible arms also help them grasp food. It is a reminder that even within the same phylum, locomotion strategies can vary differently. Sea urchins and sand dollars belong to Echinoidea. Unlike sea stars, they do not have arms. Instead, their bodies are enclosed in a rigid external shell called a test, made of fused ossicles. 2 feet extend through rows of pores in the test and help with movement and keeping the surface clean. Around the mouth, skeletal plates form a remarkable feeding apparatus called Aristotle's lantern. It functions almost like a biological jaw system. Most echinoids graze on algae, though some filter feed or consume small organisms and detritus. Crinoids include sea lilies and feather stars. Sea lilies remain attached to the substrate on a stalk, while feather stars can move using chirae that are extensions from the aboral surface. Both are suspension feeders. Their many branched feather-like arms increase surface area and are linked with 2 feet that capture small particles from the water. The 2 feet then transport food towards the mouth along ambulacral grooves. Although only about 600 species exist today, crinoids were once extremely abundant in ancient seas, especially during the Paleozoic era. Sea cucumbers are unusual echinoderms because they show functional bilateral symmetry as adults. Their elongated body forces them to lie horizontally, and 2 feet are often reduced except on the side touching the substrate. They have a more typical elongated digestive tract and only a single gonad. A unique feature is the respiratory tree, branching from the posterior gut. Water is pumped into and out through the cloaca of gas exchange. Around the mouth are tentacles used to collect detritus or filter particles. Some species even circulate hemoglobin in their internal fluids, which is rare among echinoderms. Chordates are defined not by how they look as adults, but their 5 developmental features. The notochord provides internal support. The dorsal hollow nerve cord develops into the central nervous system in vertebrates. Pharyngeal gill slits originally function in filter feeding but later become associated with respiration in some groups. The postanal tail aids in movement, and the endostyle, which becomes the thyroid gland in vertebrates, regulates metabolism. Even invertebrates, chordates like tunicates and lancelets show some of these features at stages of development.